Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where it's about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. This episode is another great example of why I try to watch The Walking Dead first and foremost, just so I can have a palate cleanser after. Because it's like, it's not just that the show is depressing, it's just like, it's always keeps you on edge because you're like, I never know who's going to live and who's going to die, you know? Because there's not just the dead to worry about anymore, and it's not just humans you have to worry about anymore. It's the dead, humans, and radiation when it comes to this, when it comes to fear. So, but obviously we have Howard tossing people left and right off the roof because they're finding all these walkies, and it's like, oh, there's a resistance in the tower, which the fact of the matter is we never really found out if any of those people actually were resistance or not. Maybe they would have been. It's just like, probably should have done a better job of hiding those walkies, but I mean, it's the tower. There's very limited places you can hide it, especially when, Morgan kind of did a disservice by trying to kill Strand. If at the very least, if he was going to kill Strand, he should have gone all in on it. But because he didn't commit all the way, Strand is alive, and now he's paranoid than ever, and now people have to suffer the ramifications for it. It's like, that is also the drawback to this. It's like, there's going to be blood spilled on both sides, but it's still kind of like, yeah, Morgan kind of set the dominoes effect going, and now it's like, Strand's always been the self-centered type, but now he's the self-centered type who's extremely paranoid. So it's kind of like, Howard's just tossing, like I said, people off left and right. That lady was like, it wasn't me, didn't matter, push, shove. And then lo and behold, who does it come down to? Howard. The moment Howard got accused, I was like, because June says she didn't have anything to do with that, but I'm like, the fact is the opportunity was too opportunistic, because it's like, right, John's been looking for a way to get closer to Strand, but it's like, yeah, Victor's not going to listen to anyone when he's still got Howard there whispering in his ear. So, which is funny because I think, truth be told, because Howard is a yes man, because Howard is someone who's going to reconfirm everything that Victor's. To be fair, Howard's been there since Victor began everything at the end of season 6's finale. That partnership grew from there in that time frame. So of course, they were there, to pick up the pieces at the end of the world 2.0, end of the world 2.0. But still, I think it's fascinating. But it's like, I should have figured as much that John was the one responsible for that, because he just felt like, oh yeah, I've got this golden opportunity, because he was trying to run like, it's like, hey, I'm going to try and speak to Victor. And June was like, that's not going to work. It's like, your son tried that with Virginia and see how that worked out. And I was like, yeah, that didn't work out. It's like, yeah, his attempt to play her game ended up destroying him. Don't let this destroy you. But for him, he's like, this is the only way. If I could talk to Victor, which I'm like, talk to Victor hasn't always worked. This isn't Naruto. Talk no jutsu doesn't work. Because Victor isn't the type of person that can be, all the people that have talked Victor off the edge, and even Madison didn't always have the easiest time in managing Victor. They got along well because, obviously a lot of Victor's tendencies, I think, Madison kind of clicked with a lot of that as well. So I think even if Madison was around right now, would she be able to pull him in? I don't know, because I just don't know. Because at least Madison and Victor have long history. Him and Morgan have history now, but it's like him and Madison clicked a lot more than I think Morgan and Victor did. But I don't know. Like I said, for all we know, that's all. Maybe you could almost make the argument that's who he's looking for. He's looking for someone that will be a yes person, but also challenge him in the way that Madison did. Once again, they bumped heads a lot, but I think they made quite the interesting pair that I think he probably is looking for someone like a Madison by his side. And it wasn't, Howard definitely didn't fit that role. And once again, Howard's just kind of a yes person. So, but, in his mind, John believes, this place could be a great place if they can change things a little bit, which I'm like, I never made that parallel before, but I guess this tower is kind of like the equivalency, once again, because the show does a really good job of paralleling certain things from the original Walking Dead show. And I'd assume, and maybe this is my maybe I'm not thinking right. I mean, I'm sure this place is kind of like a combination of the kingdom and Alexandria, but I was more so thinking like Alexandria, like when Rick and his group first got to Alexandria, how that place was, and they kind of changed it. I'm curious. I mean, we see where Alexandria is now, like how that place changed and prospered so much in the long run. I mean, I guess even another comparison, even present day, would be like the Commonwealth. Regardless, I think there's a lot of parallels you can make to a lot of places in the Walking Dead, but because you can even make a comparison between Victor and Hornsby. I didn't even think about that while the original was running. I didn't think about that with the Hornsby angle of it, like how him and Victor are very much parallel to each other. But like I was saying, John wants to do what's best for this place, and it could be a great place if he could get to Victor. And seeing as it's, Howard, he's potentially a traitor and stuff like that, so he's about to get tossed, which I think is so messed up. Howard got a second chance. No one else on that roof got a second chance, but because it's Victor's right hand, it's like, okay, I'll give you a second chance, but you need to prove yourself to me, because some things went wrong around that time, and it turns out, hey, baby Mo's going missing, which you're like, at first you're kind of like, does John have anything to do with this? But it seems like no. Which also, once again, because John was the one that planted the walkie on Howard, it's like, you were going to let Howard get tossed, because to be fair, Howard had killed a lot of people. He had tossed many other people off that roof. So, but it's like, right, I've always been loyal to you, Victor. I got this. I'll find Mo. And it's like, cool, because if you don't, you're getting tossed. So he's doing his thing. But also, John is like given the job too, because it's like, right, I've seen Adori in action, so I know what you guys are capable of. So I need you to go, because I don't 100% trust Howard. I need you to kind of do this. So he's interviewing the suspects, Grace, Wendell, and June, all who have connections to Morgan and such. And then also Wes, because Wes is the new guy in it. But Wes is kind of showing his allegiances now. He's chosen his side. Once again, not unless this is a front, like he's trying to, like he's like, right, I'm going to help you. But in actuality, I'm going to destroy this from the inside, because this is the way to stop both you and Morgan or something. But we'll see. I think, like I said, I think he's chosen Strand's side in this. Because Strand is a paranoid person he is, and Wes assumes the worst in people. And for him, after last episode with Luciana, it just reconfirmed it for him, just how she's handling the whole Daniel thing. So, but this episode also gave us insight into Howard, which is kind of depressing, because it's like, cool, let's learn about this character who immediately. I mean, what about Ali? You spend all that time with Ali, him and Charlie, and Ollie's dad. Oh yeah, and Charlie's super dying. It's like, God, once again, this is so depressing. Especially because we see her situation getting bad. Like, the radiation burns are spreading across her body. We're just like, I was hoping and praying. It's like, maybe something. It's like, dude, that sucks. Because if Charlie dies too, it's like, that's going to be another character that's going to die after, like, only being around for a little bit. So this is only her third-ish season. And once again, you also have to account for, like, when it comes to people, how long someone's been in the show. You also have to account for the fact is, not everyone is in every single episode. So, like, yeah, the fact is, Charlie was here and there throughout season 4, 5, 6, and now here in 7. It's like, the character hasn't popped up in every single episode. She's popped up, but she's been around for 3 seasons, but it's not been every single episode of those 3 seasons. So it's kind of wild. But regardless, going back to it, talking about Howard, we learned about the family that was referenced. It's like, why did you and your family split? Which obviously, that kind of, I feel bad because that constantly gets thrown in John's face this episode. Because it's like, right, I don't want to hear that from the man who abandoned his son. But it turns out Howard has always been the history dude that he is. And in fact, he found the letter that was sent out asking for reinforcements at the Alamo. But it turns out, there was actually more to the letter, and he gained a lot of recognition and stuff like that. But then it turns out he forged it, and so all that praise he got turned into people, like, disparaging his name. And his wife ended up leaving him with their son, because it's like, right, you're so focused on history, making history, that you would rather than building a life for me and your son. But that's even more so why he wants this tower, because he wants this tower to be a signature of his history, his legacy. That's what this entire episode is about, legacies. Just because everyone wants to have something to leave behind, Strand believes that this tower will be his legacy, that even when he's gone, he'll be remembered for this. It's like, yeah, so I guess like you're thinking people, I guess it's like, right, they can remember me however they want to as a tyrant or whatever, but I'm going to be recognized as a savior. It's like, you're kind of forgetting about the whole tyranny thing of like, you've been kind of a tyrant for not just with this, just, I guess maybe in his argument is the people who know him for who he is, they're going to either be dead so they won't be around to tell that, and anyone else who knew him for being the scandalous person that he was, the very self-centered, self-preservating douche that he has been from time to time, that no one will be alive to remember that or continue that aspect on. He'll just really remember, as a hero who built this tower. It's like, once again, you ruin it with an iron fist, and it's just like, I don't think people are going to remember you too fondly, but I guess that's kind of like, he's just so up his own ass that he believes that people will remember him, because it's like, right, you can hate me all you want, but the thing I did will, generations upon generations will survive because of me. So, and then John's legacy is that if this place could be a good place, it'd be his legacy to make up for how things played out with John, his son. And Howard wants to have a place where his wife and son can come to, which they separated before the world fell apart the first time. So, and he's hoping that they're out there. It's like, but what if you don't find them? And Howard's like, I don't like to think about that, because if I do, I have to think about the fact is everything I've done has been for the legacy of like building a safe place for my family. He can justify it that way. But if they're not alive, it means everything I've done has been for nothing, which is sad, because we find out later on Howard died never knowing it, but his family was gone. Apparently they've been gone for a long time, and Strand found out months ago and never said anything to him. So just shows you the kind of person Strand is, because it's like, right, I need you at your best, so I'm gonna use whatever, like, yeah, your wife and son motivate you, so why would I tell you that? Because you'd lose your motivation. You were helping me make this a great place, like, so why would I ever tell him the truth? So he'd lose that motivation. It's like, no, it kept him going, which is like, because he even says, like, right, everyone's being driven by something. He's being driven by his need for a legacy, and so is everyone else to some extent. Because even Morgan, everything that Morgan's fighting for is for a legacy, to find another safe place for people to call home and everything in the aftermath of all of this. But John ends up tracking down June, because June had admitted during his questioning of her that she was responsible for, winked and nodded to like she being responsible for what happened to Mo. It's like, right, just kind of let this happen, because Mo can't grow up in a place like this, because Victor can't be trusted to raise that baby. But when the time came, John didn't want, because June planned to get out like Mickey did, kind of guarding her body up and just slipping through. But John was like, no, you can't do that, because it's not safe out there. And we find out extra reasons why. I mean, for one, the outside world, it ain't been safe for Charlie. You saw what happened to her, or what happened to John. It's like, oh, well, so what happened to John? John was supposed to be John Sr.'s legacy, but his son is gone, and just because he never had the chance to fully apologize to his son. His son forgave him in the end, sure, but he never had that chance to see his son after leaving him all those years ago. And the fact is that Dory Jr. had to carry all of that. But once again, he kind of let that go in that letter that Senior read. But he didn't want the same thing to happen to Mo. Mo was going to be his legacy. I already let one child die. I'm not going to let another. Which June's like, I get it. I've lost a child too, but this child is better off out there than with Victor. But the reason why is because for John, it's like, that baby's not safe out there either, and shows that he got radiation. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, once again, this is the season of no one's safe. It's like, because I was like, that sucks ass. Because first and foremost, I'm like, it's John Sr. We already got rid of one Dory. There's no way they're gonna, what? Not even a season later, we're getting rid of Senior Jr.? I mean, it's like, well, he's sick, so he's going to be around like Charlie, but his situation isn't as bad because, I mean, well, it is, but the radiation hasn't spread as much because it spread heavily across Charlie's body. From what we can see, it seems like it's only in his stomach area, but eventually it will spread further and further around his body. So at first you're like, well, at least he has some time, but it still means it's a ticking clock. I mean, everyone's got a damn ticking clock. Charlie, John Sr., maybe Alicia. There still might be something to that. I don't know. But it's like, man, that's just, once again, he's not been in every episode, but he got introduced in the back half of season 6. So he's been maybe in a season's worth, if you want to like calculate it like that, in kind of a season of Fear the Walking Dead. And it's like, we're already setting this up. Okay. So June's like, why didn't you say anything? It's like, would have made any difference if I had? Because that's why he was asking about Charlie. It's like, is there any way to help? And it's like, no, because he knows, for one, Charlie's young and she's worse off than he is. It's like, if anyone needs all the treatment and attention, it's someone young like her. He's like, I'm already older. I've lived my life. Her life has only just gotten started, and and now it's a situation of. It also makes you wonder in retrospect. That means Ollie probably wouldn't have been okay either. Like, because even John was like, I was careful and I still got by this. So in the end, well, even if Ollie had gotten sick, at least Charlie and him would have had each other during that. But still, so Charlie has like the people she cares about, like, like June and probably like Wendell and Grace looking after her. I'd assume Wes would still look after her too, but like, she doesn't have, like, the person she was kind of falling for, and they gig about the future together. Like, they don't even get to spend that last bit of time together. So, but, circling back to it, but hearing that Charlie couldn't, like, nothing could be done for Charlie, just make her end as peaceful as possible. That's why John submitted himself to, like, right, I have only a limited amount of time. I got to do something. I, need to do what's best. And I love that when he revealed to June, like, right, I planted the walkie-talkie on Howard. She's like, your life fell apart and got destroyed the moment you planted that evidence on Teddy, doing the wrong thing for the right reason. How that ended up blowing up in your face. Like, don't make that mistake again. But for him, it's like, this time, things were going to be different as how John viewed it. So they tried to contact Grace. Grace was on her way down. Sadly, Howard and Victor were waiting. And ultimately, I love that Howard's like, see, I told you I found the baby. It's like, no, you didn't. He did. So Howard doesn't, he still can get voted off the tower. So now it comes down to like, right, Victor's like, right, got both of them up there. It's pouring down rain. It's like, yeah, like, so how's this going to play out? I think it's interesting too. I guess, Dory Sr. never told Victor, like, yeah, I'm sick. Because he's probably like, right, if Victor knows that I probably won't be sticking around, he'll already be looking for another replacement. So that's probably why John Sr. probably kept that quiet. But Howard's like, I didn't do this. And it's just like, all right, John, you want to prove your loyalty to this place? Toss him off the tower. It's like, right, Howard doesn't deserve that. I'm the one that planted it. Which, how did Strand react? Oh my God, that's amazing. You were willing to go that far just to get an audience with me? I'm impressed. It's like, holy shit. So you took at it, because for him, it's almost like, that takes initiative. That shows that you were dedicated to this tower, that you were willing to go that far to frame a man that was going to lead to his murder. You were okay with that because it meant talking to me and getting in my ear and doing what you believe was best for the tower. You had the tower's best interest at heart. All right, but you're still going to have to do that first thing I said. You're going to have to toss him off the tower, which Howard's like, my family. And John's like, I'm sorry, but I mean, hell, you've thrown people off this for less. And Howard gets the boot. You're like, wow. And then Strand is like, yeah, his family's going. So that makes John feel even more guilty because it's like, man, that guy did all of this. All these terrible things he did was for his family. And there's a lot less blood that would be on him. It doesn't change the fact that there was still going to be blood on his hands for all that he did, but there would have been a lot less blood on his hand if Victor had told him the truth. John had given up drinking, but he picks it up afterwards because he's in Howard's office now, and he ends up drinking just to drown out the sorrows and everything. So, But I love that he ends up talking to Victor about, because Victor wants to like isolate Mo from Grace. It's like, right, she's just a stand-in mother anyway. His biological mom's actually dead, so it doesn't matter. But as I'm gonna raise this child, and no one's going to interfere. But Dory's like, don't do that. The fact is, trying to talk him out of it, like, we can change things, we can do things better, you know, because if you do this, like, it's going to blow up in your face. And he's almost like, yeah, what happened to your son? He's like, and that's why I'm saying this to you, Strand, that take it from someone with experience. You don't want that child to basically kind of grow up and resent you for the way, because the way you're raising that child won't be good. But for him, it's like, right, this baby will be my legacy, this tower will be yours. But for Dory, it's like, no, it won't be. And he pistol whips Strand. Because, I mean, maybe he doesn't have any bullets. Because I think the last time he talked, he had at least one bullet left. But I guess he didn't want to kill Victor, because it's like, right, I'm not going to let that be my legacy, that I just kill you. You know, it probably would have been easier in the long run if he had, but because that would have still doomed everyone else in the tower without his leadership. So maybe that's why Dory did it. But it's like, no, I can't let this be my legacy, especially with how much time I have left, the blood I spilled, killing Howard like that. The fact is, I framed him that I'm going down this path again. Like, it was, yeah, and he was starting to drink again. It was like, yeah, it is going to destroy me, because I'm not the person I need to be to put this tower in the right place. And also, you're not someone that's willing to listen to me. He has his ideas, and he's not willing to, Strand has his ideas, and he's not willing to listen to John Sr. So, John takes some of the armor and stuff from out of the Howard's place and ends up leaving. He ends up contacting Morgan. It's like, yo, I'm coming to drop her off. So Wendell, Grace, and June are there to send him off. And he feels like he has to be the one to do it because, well, and they also don't have enough time to, like, cut open a walker and spread it around him. It's like, also, because I guess baby Mo being in that condition, it's like, being a baby, she could probably get infected and die from, like, the blood and stuff, so that's probably why it's probably not safe for baby Mo. But he makes his way through, like, him and June have their goodbye, you know? And I thought that was beautiful. That was even more reason I'm like, June is without Dory Jr. At least having Dory Sr. around is like, they're still family, so you're like, hey, it works out. And now she doesn't have him. I was like, because I was thinking, like, man, either John's going to make it all the way over, give baby Mo to Morgan, because I was about to say, there's no way Strand would shoot Dory Sr. while he's carrying Mo or something like that, because even if he didn't kill Mo, he would be leaving Mo out there to be a victim to all of those walkers. So, and lo and behold, you knew it was going to happen. One of the walkers he sees is obviously going to be Howard. And so he ultimately makes his way to Morgan, and but sadly, he got bit partway through. And once again, it doesn't matter. He didn't have that much time anyway, but now he just had even less. And John Sr.'s like, all right, I'll buy you time, and walks in and get himself sacrificed. That's why I was like, at least he's gonna, it sucks he's gonna die, but at least he's gonna die. So I was like, nope. We're expediting that even more. I was like, come on, dude. Like I said, he was around. I mean, hell, even John Jr. was only around 2.5 seasons, because he died in like the beginning of the second half of season 6. It's like, I guess because it's like in my head, I assume certain characters. I mean, Alicia is currently, her and Strand are the only OG character, like OG group characters. Well, no, and Daniel. I'm always kind of forgetting. But even then, like, Daniel hasn't always been in the show, because he's kind of disappeared for a while, especially like earlier parts of season 4. He wasn't like kind of shown much at all. But it's like, yeah, because when you look at like The Walking Dead, it's like, right, you still got Carol and Daryl, who are still like the OGs. Once again, Rick is still alive, but still he hasn't been a part of the world for a while because the movie situation, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. So it's just when the turnaround from a character showing up to their death is pretty quickly, it messes with me a little bit. And I was like, that sucks. Like I said, this world needs a Dory in it, and we got none. That's depressing. It's like John Jr.'s death broke my heart. And now you're killing C. I'm like, come on! This is so messed up. Oh God. And once again, it's not like you were already killing him, you just expedited it even faster. So, And Victor makes it clear. He's like, yo, Morgan, you step foot in this tower, I will kill everyone you care about. That includes June. That includes Grace. You don't want this smoke. And now Wes is also siding with him. It's like, oh, you're looking for a partner? Yeah, I got your bag. And we can, it's like, right. Well, his past two partners didn't work out, Howard. And John Sr. was kind of short-lived in that regard, but still. Dude, it's going to be wild going from here. It's like, Jesus. And I think we're going to get a lot more sick people. That's just going to be like the biggest looming threat. And that's the biggest issue too. Like, you need to get to that tower because there's no safety on the ground level. Like, the ground is no longer there's no guarantee, because even being the most careful of careful, Charlie still got sick. Being the most careful of careful, John Sr. still got sick. So that's a threat that's still forever going to be looming that they're going to have to watch out for. So... And Strand made it clear to anyone out there, it's like, yo, if you're out there, there's still an open invitation, come to my tower and stuff like that. So that's less people that will side with Morgan in the long run. So while Alicia's out trying to convince people to join their side, which seems like it could be a losing war, especially because I have the high ground, Morgan. But regardless, it's going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. God, like I said, that's sad, But once again, it's just the interesting conversations about legacies, and for John, Mo is going to be his legacy. How she grows up, where she goes from here. That's going to be not just her legacy, not just his legacy, but Morgan's, even Grace's legacy, And I guess to some extent, maybe who June ended up becoming will be both of their legacies, like both John Jr.'s legacy as well as John Sr.'s legacy, because she was like, because at the end, John Sr. was like, right, June, you reminded me that it is never too late. So, like I said, we'll see where things take us going forward. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.